Good evening and many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV News, coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and I am Ansmane Sonyasi. Here are the main news headlines. The Operations Cleared Roads Task Force began clearing and towing vehicles parked along the battle-hardened highway, most of which are on sale by car dealers. Members of various committees of the Gambia's National Assembly are attending 2 days capacity building training to enhance their knowledge and skills in addressing issues relating to their legislative duties. And the Non-Communicable Diseases Unit of the Ministry of Health and Partners has given an update on the recent week-long enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act. The Neglected Tropical Diseases Program of the Ministry of Health organized a press briefing on Friday as part of commemorations of World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day. And in international news, in another deadly explosion on the continent, a huge gas blast in the Kenyan capital Nairobi has killed at least 3 people and injured nearly 300. Well, stay tuned for more on these and other stories. And we now take a look at the news in detail. The Operations Cleared Roads Task Force began clearing and towing vehicles parked along the battle-hardened highway on Thursday, most of which are on sale by car dealers. This follows the expiration of a 1-month notice to vacate the encroached spaces. Momolami Choi reports.
The Operation Clear the Roads Task Force is carrying out an operation on business encroaching the road corridor along the battle-hardened highway. The main target of this operation are car dealers who use public spaces as trading grounds for vehicles. This auto mechanic garage is for us to attract the attention of the task force.
Your premises is here. Put everything that you own inside. We don't even want to see anything outside, please. If that's not the case, we're going to close this place. You're going out there to look for a garage.
As is usual the practice in this operation, the auto mechanic garage owner is arrested for disobeying previous orders to stop operating on an encroached space. Moving on along the battle-hardened highway, the car dealers wake up to the operation team exactly 1 month after they had been notified to relocate their businesses. Having their vehicles towed is the price they pay for defying the notice to stop selling cars here. Moro Musa Sisao, the Deputy PRO of the Gambia Police Force, and Bakari Mane, the head of the Operation Clear the Road Task Force, briefed the press.
So this is why yesterday we sent a notice to inform them that we are coming today. The Operation Clear the Road would be on the ground from Sting Corner going, that anybody who is found one thing, meaning you've been defiant, you already through your association, you appeal to the government to give you 1 month to be able to do what you needed to do. And this has been approved for 1 month. Then anybody who actually did not do that, then is defiant of the fact, not only the government itself, but even their association.
There are conditions that you must fulfill. One is the measurement from, if we are within the along the road, from the measurement minimum is 50 meters from the road, whether it's feeder or highway, and 75 meters is the maximum. And that is one condition. The second condition is where you are selling your car supposed to be enclosed, fully fenced, 4-sided, and it should have an enclosed door, meaning it should not be visible outside. And that is the condition, which of the all these conditions that I just said, he failed.
Recently, the Car Dealers Association requested and were allocated land by the government at New Yundum on the airport road where they can temporarily do business.
We understand that it's across the board. It's from Sting Corner going up to Bruce B. Turntable, up to the airport junction. There are vehicles around. Everywhere you go, people are selling cars around. So we feel it's important, the government feels it's important that it is organized so that everybody knows when you need a car, you know a special location where to go.
Along the battle-hardened highway, more car dealers are found using public spaces to sell cars. This one is located within Bakau Upper Basic School. The owner informs the operation team that he had an agreement with the school authorities, allowing him to do business in this part of the school. The Operation Clear the Roads has been ongoing for months, since October last year. The objective is to ensure the safety of road users, smooth traffic circulation, and to create room for more development on our road system. The message from this task force is that Operation Clear the Road is here to stay. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Now, members of various committees of the Gambia's National Assembly are attending a 2-day capacity building training to enhance their knowledge and skills in addressing issues relevant to legislative duties. The event is supported by the International Republican Institute. Mumudu Gajaka was there and Hina reports.
The 2-day training is to build the capacity of National Assembly members in addressing legal matters. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, CDSK Njai, explains the need for training and its importance for NAMS.
Training is key because as functions of the National Assembly is legislations, oversights and representation. And for members to be able to hold government account and to be equal to the task of representations, legislation and oversight, our capacity needs to be enhanced and built. And this initiative is geared towards improving the already capacity of members of the National Assembly to be able to stand the test of time. For us to help and build a sustained democracy, rule of law, good governance and accountability, you need members of the National Assembly who are equal to the task and can journey together.
The training, which also includes some members of civil society, will focus on various topics, including core functions of the National Assembly, such as lawmaking, National Assembly oversight, and rules of debate and strategic communication, amongst others. Ndei Bakorin, Executive Director of Tango, explains the importance of the capacity building for National Assembly members.
It is always good, as already alluded to build our capacity. It helps us in the work we are doing, and it's important to interact also. We know that at the parliament level, or National Assembly like we call it now here, they have many functions, but the main ones is about our lawmaking, oversight, and of course representing us. As lawmakers, the National Assembly members are responsible for drafting and shaping our society roles.
The International Republican Institute, IRI, supports the National Assembly by facilitating the training. Jimmy Sankaitwa is the resident director of IRI.
Today we are again assembled here to continue what we've always done for members of the National Assembly. It has been and will continue to be an integral part of IRI's work in the Gambia to build the capacity of members of the National Assembly to be able to function more adequately in supporting the governance consolidation of the Gambia.
The program aims to build the capacity of lawmakers in carrying out their legislative, oversight, and representative functions. Momudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Now, the Non-Communicable Diseases Unit of the Ministry of Health and Partners held a press briefing on Thursday on the recent week-long enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act. Lena Igwe tells us more.
Globally, cigarettes are the leading form of tobacco consumption, and in the Gambia, the prevalence of various tobacco products is evident as is shown by recently confiscated tobacco products. This underscores the significance of the joint enforcement initiative by a task force comprising officials from the Ministry of Health, the Gambia Revenue Authority, the National Environment Agency, and the Gambia Police to restrict and regulate tobacco use. Michael M. Mendy is the Director of Health Promotion and Education and Chairperson for the National Tobacco Control Committee.
This one entity cannot do it. We have to join hands at different levels and play our roles in order to prevent all the harms and dangers that are imposed to the health of the people from the use of this tobacco.
Omar Baji, the Non-Communicable Disease Program Manager and the National Focal Person for Tobacco Control at the Ministry of Health, showed tobacco products confiscated during the week-long exercise.
If you look at these tobacco products, some of them are electronic cigarettes, which is completely banned in the country. Some of them are shisha products. Shisha is not banned in the country, but the usage in the public places is banned. And some of them are cigarette that doesn't conform with the graphic health warning and the health messages. As you can see, this is a packet, because the packet should be 26. Oh, of course, it is 20. But when you look at the packet, it doesn't have a sick child, and it doesn't have anywhere on the edge written sold in the Gambia. So meaning this is a illicit product. It's not meant for the country.
Despite warnings on cigarette packs and health risks illustrations, global smoking statistics remain alarming. In 2020, World Health Organization data showed 22.3% of the world's population used tobacco, with 36.7% of men and 7.8% of women. Momodu Gassama, a health promotion specialist at the World Health Organization, reveals the alarming statistics on tobacco-related fatalities and harms.
Tobacco is a killer. Nearly over 8 million people die globally as a result of tobacco use. Over 8 million people. 7 million actively, directly because they smoke, that they die. 7 million. 1.2 million people also die extra because they are smoking in the second, they call it passive smoking. So can you imagine, whether you smoke actively or whether you smoke passively, smoking kills. So where are we? And now, look at what is behind it. They are now using different forms of tobacco use, and that's what we are seeing on the table here. These are called electronic cigarettes. As I speak now, WHO has the science available is that there are about 16,000 different flavors of this. You will see some of them are guava, some of them are grape. You name it, they use all types of flavors, and this flavor will help entice our youngsters.
The Observatory of Economic Complexity reports that in 2021, the Gambia imported $21.4 thousand in raw tobacco, ranking 161st globally. The Tobacco Control Act prohibits sales in specific locations and to those under 18 in a bid to curb tobacco use and its consequences. Reporting for KTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
And a report there by Lena Igwenyiba will lead us to a commercial break. But when we return, we have more local and international news stories.
Modu came in to buy some bathroom floor tile, but once he laid eyes on our basins, he fell in love with a stunning basin and with a breathtaking faucet. With a brand new mirror too, at a bargaining price.
So, I got a bathtub too.
Oh yes, he picked up a bathtub too.
Yes, that's Batimat's Buddy Days. Take advantage of exceptional discounts up to 50% on tiles, sanitary, electrical, and lighting. From February 3rd to 17th, you will be splurging. Batimat.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. After the commercial break, we remind that you're watching QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Now, the Neglected Tropical Disease Program of the Ministry of Health organized a press briefing on Friday as part of commemorations of World Neglected Tropical Disease Day. Loliam Kamara has the rest of that story.
World Neglected Tropical Disease Day is observed on the 30th of January every year to raise the profile of neglected tropical diseases, the suffering they cause, and to garner support towards their control, elimination, and eradication in line with the programmatic targets set out in the NTD Roadmap 2021-2030 and the commitments of the 2022 Kigali Declaration on Neglected Tropical Diseases. Balajata, Program Manager of the Neglected Tropical Disease Program at the Ministry of Health, highlighted that these ancient diseases affect the less privileged and vulnerable populations in tropical and subtropical regions, adding that these diseases have so far affected over 1 billion people worldwide.
In the Gambia, we have 15 of these neglected tropical diseases. In the whole world, we have 21 NTDs, and 15 out of the 21 NTDs can be found in the Gambia. Key among these NTDs is schistosomiasis, elephantiasis. Sometimes when we were young, we used to see people with big foot. And then we also have soil-transmitted helminths, helminth infestations. You see children, when they go to the toilet, they set out worms, and that's soil-transmitted helminthiasis. We have leprosy.
The Africa region bears close to 40% of the global burden of neglected tropical disease, NTDs, and sub-Saharan Africa makes up 90% of the disease burden. Balajata outlines some of the interventions by the government and partners.
We give series of interventions like doing mass stroke administration. We go into the communities that are affected and giving them preventive chemotherapy. We do worse interventions and all those interventions to prevent people from getting these diseases. So in 2020, over 600 million people did not need these kind of interventions.
Research shows that NTDs not only threaten the health and well-being of individuals, they also hinder the social and economic progress of entire communities. Sirifo Dabo, focal person for the World Health Organization, and Pius Ononigwe, Africa CDC National Coordinator, the Gambia, elaborates.
As the team this year, Unite, Act and Eliminate. One health approach is one of the key aspects to control NTDs. One health approach are key to sustainably prevent NTDs because they recognize the link between human, animal, and environmental health.
We have to do everything as public health actors, as media people, to raise the awareness that these diseases are highly preventable. It's something, take for example, the NTDs that have to do with worm infestation, the cysticercosis, schistosomiasis, and all the rest.
On World Neglected Tropical Disease Day 2024, the WHO is calling on everybody, including leaders and communities, to unite and act to address the inequalities that drive neglected tropical diseases and to make bold, sustainable investments to free the estimated 1.62 billion people in the world's most vulnerable communities from a brutal cycle of disease and poverty. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now on to international news in a moment. Now, in another deadly explosion on the continent, a huge gas blast in the Kenyan capital Nairobi has killed at least 3 people and injured nearly 300. The Kenyan government spokesperson said a search and rescue operation is ongoing. Alucisa reports.
The Kenyan government said the explosion occurred when a lorry carrying gas exploded in Embakasi district at about 8:30 p.m. GMT. Housing, businesses and cars were damaged, with video showing a huge blaze raging close to blocks of flats. The area has been cordoned off and an investigation is underway into the cause of the explosion. The BBC reports that at least one person, a guard at the site, has been arrested over the incident. Embakasi Police Chief Wesley Kimeto said a child was among those who died. He said the death toll could rise. Some 271 people were taken to hospital, according to the authorities, including at least 25 children. Nairobi's Mayor Sakaja Johnson said many of these people had been treated and sent home, but at least 39 have been sent to other facilities, some with critical injuries. A further 27 people were treated on site for non-life-threatening injuries. The government initially said the blast happened at a gas plant where workers were refilling gas cylinders, but the authorities later clarified that a truck had exploded in a parking yard. The Kenyan authorities said the inferno further damaged several vehicles and commercial properties, including many small and medium-sized businesses. The fire has been contained and a search and rescue operation has been launched to find out if people are missing or have simply taken shelter elsewhere. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, said in a statement that the gas plant was illegal and that it had rejected pre-applications for construction permits to build storage and filling facilities at the site, as the designs did not meet safety standards and there was a high population around the proposed site. It is not clear how the facility was still able to operate. Witnesses told the BBC that the explosion sent objects including gas cylinders and a shipping container flying into the air. Jacqueline Karimi said she ran out of her house and lay flat on the tarmac. She suffered burns on her right hand and arm up to the shoulder and to her right leg. Several eyewitnesses confirmed the incident and said there were terrifying moments during the course of the explosion. In December last year, a similar fire at Guinea-Conakry's main oil depot left 24 people dead and 454 people injured. The explosion was completely extinguished 9 days after it started. On 5th of November 2021, an oil tanker explosion in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, resulted in at least 100 deaths and left hundreds of people seriously injured with burns. In South Africa last year, another fire incident at a building in Johannesburg killed 76 people. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alu Sise.
All our prayers and thoughts are with victims, their families, and the people of Kenya. And we still stay in the same country, as many travelers visiting Kenya have been taken aback by the new requirements, which include fresh cost and paperwork for some, despite President William Ruto's widely acclaimed free visa for African visitors announcement in December last year. As we hear in this report, we are informed about the new requirements and how they're being applied.
Beginning January 2024, Kenya will be a visa-free country. It shall no longer be necessary for any person from any corner of the globe to carry the burden of applying for a visa to come to Kenya.
The announcement was received with much praise, particularly from across Africa. However, travelers expecting to face few obstacles to entering Kenya are now confronted with a new reality that perhaps frustrates their excitement over the institution of what was initially expected to be a free visa entry with little or no conditions. Adio, a Zimbabwean citizen living in Germany, shared his surprise and frustration with the BBC. He did not anticipate any issues at Bremen Airport when he arrived for his flight to Kenya earlier this month. However, he was asked to show a document at the check-in desk showing he had permission to enter Kenya. Recalling his encounter with immigration, the 33-year-old tells the BBC, "We had a short argument at the counter. I insisted I didn't need one." Previously, nationals of Zimbabwe, along with more than 40 other countries, including several from Africa, were able to arrive in Kenya, get a stamp on their passport and enter without paying. And if Adio had made the trip a week earlier, that would have been right. He had expected that by January 1st, 2024, when the new policy supposedly came into effect, the same regulations would apply. The new application process, also known as Electronic Travel Authorization or ETA, which caters for single entry and is valid for 90 days, cost him around €150, about $160, and takes up to at least 3 days to process. Further expressing his frustration, Adio stresses that the new process is inconvenient, and Kenyan immigration lawyer Davis Nyaga shares similar views, telling the BBC that the ETA is essentially a visa under another name, adding, "From a legal perspective, there is no difference between an ETA and a visa. The only difference is that Kenya will no longer put the visa sticker in your passport." Along with the new process, all visitors must now pay $30 every time they enter Kenya. This new policy already applies in several countries, including the US, Canada and Australia. And the European Union has also shared plans to adopt a similar policy. However, speaking to journalists, Salim Swale, press secretary for Kenya's government, says instead of focusing on the revenue element, the ETA was necessary for vetting travelers, adding that it is a security measure that will greatly help in the fight against terrorism. Meanwhile, despite queries over the introduction of fees and new rules, researchers say the continent is moving towards easy movement and trade. So far, several countries, including Ghana and South Africa, Botswana and Zimbabwe and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, introduced bilateral visa waiver deals, while Angola introduced free visa entry for 98 countries, including 14 African nations, and Benin, Rwanda, Seychelles and the Gambia are now free visa for African nationals. Answane Sonyase for KTV News. And I'm afraid that's all about it for this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. The operations Clear the Roads and Task Force began clearing and towing vehicles parked along the Battle-Harding Highway, most of which are on sale by car dealers. Members of various committees of the Gambia's National Assembly are attending a 2-day capacity building training to enhance their knowledge and skills in addressing issues relevant to legislative duties. The Non-Communicable Diseases Unit of the Ministry of Health and Partners has given an update on the recent week-long enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act. And the Neglected Tropical Disease Program of the Ministry of Health organized a press briefing on Friday as part of commemorations of World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day. And in international news, in another deadly explosion on the continent, a huge gas blast in the Kenyan capital Nairobi has killed at least 3 people and injured nearly 300. Well, that's all for this bulletin. Do join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, thanks for watching.